Café Anyway. Welcome to the show.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2766, 2766, and Mike Matthews live from Café Anyway somewhere in Podcastro Valley.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The last place on earth in Ameritopica. And this is a story that jumped out at me and it made me go, oh, faith in me, glory! Because I'm Irish and I thought you knew that. Did I scare you? Did I frighten your cat? Possibly I did. Oh, I probably won't be doing a daily podcast.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Even though that's the name of the show. For the next couple of days, I got some busy stuff going on at work.
Mike's
We'll see, though.
Daily
Just warning you ahead of time.
Podcast.
So this story about Taylor Swift. So she apparently is involved in every single facet of our lives now. And though I did not want to talk about her, especially after that whole X incident, heck, they call it X for a reason, don't they? The content was a little more than X for Taylor Swift, but so Taylor Swift has threatened legal action against a Florida student who tracks her jet. This from CNN. Attorneys for Taylor Swift, and I'm sure they are good ones because she's really rich, if you didn't know. They are threatening legal action against the Florida college student who tracks the private jet of celebrities and public figures, including Taylor. Jack Sweeney confirmed to CNN that he received a cease and desist letter threatening legal action from attorneys for Swift about the social media accounts he runs that tracks Swift's flights. Sweeney is the same person who famously drew ire from, speaking of X, billionaire Elon Musk for tracking his jet travels online. Musk disbanded his account on X at Elon Jet on the social media platform.
And here's today's podcast picture.
In December, which is actually not this past December, but the December before, which is where this picture comes from a moment where I got to meet the wonderful horse up there. I think his name is Dice, and he hangs out in Castro Valley at the top of Columbia. There's an area in Castro Valley called Columbia, and it doesn't look anything like Columbia. It is an HOA. It's a bunch of nice houses, and people pay a crazy amount of money, HOA fees, to stay there. The late, great Basil the Boxer and I, we walked through there many a time. And at the very top, there's the East Bay Regional Park District owns some land, and then Ebmud owns some land. And you can walk on Ebmud land, but you have to get permission. You have to go to their website and fill out some form. And that is what I was doing. I was over there visiting, and there was this horse up there. There's Emma and Dice, and I said hi to them. And see that picture at mikesdailypodcast.com of me with the horse. I petted him. He kind of knows who I am now. He actually, this horse, Dice, walked towards Basil, and Basil wasn't able to get around as well. He was much older, and his back legs were starting to get him out. So he was trying to get away from the horse, and he couldn't. And I had to actually go over there and stop the horse, go, whoa, because that's what you say to horses, apparently. And then the owner of the horse, he opened up a fence and said, come through this way real quick. Dice is angry. And so I ducked out with Basil and saved Basil. Taylor Swift has a song called, so the guy she's dating, that Travis guy, they asked him, what's your favorite song? And he said the song Antihero. And the reason why he gave it was not because of the introspective lyrics that Taylor wrote. Actually did something slightly different than she usually does. Usually she writes about how men are lusting after her, or she's lusting after a guy, or she's cheating with some guy because she's trying to get back at some girl, or she's writing something waxing philosophical and thinking about memories of somebody that she dated that blew up, and wishing she could bring back that guy because that guy was actually pretty cool. One of those various topics. Spin the wheel. Which one will you get?
The Fascinating Material Project.
She's smart enough to work with interesting people, like the guy from the Bleachers guy. I can't think of his name. Who also worked with the group Fun. And Nate Ruiz. She gets interesting people to produce her stuff, or she co-wrote some stuff with the guy from The National, and that's a very interesting band, and that guy writes some interesting songs, so they actually collaborated. She collaborated with the band The Three Sisters Haim. She's collaborated with for her next album, which she talked about. I hate when they say, my next album's gonna drop. It sounds like it's going to be thrown off of a building and fall on someone's head and hurt them. Why would you want to drop something? Why are you so clumsy that you drop it? But she was talking about her next album is going to have collaborations with all kinds of folks. Was Brandi Carlile mentioned in that? Brandi might as well just... She gets invited to every single award show that has any woman that's legendary of any sort, like you had the Joni Mitchell, which fantastic. I love that. And it's so funny. This old timey guy that I listened to his show, he talks about stocks and whatnot. He goes, I didn't really like her performance. I thought it was awful. She shouldn't have sang that Both Sides Now song, don't you know? She should have sang her big hit, Woodstock. Like, what? Okay, you only like Woodstock because you are addicted to classic rock radio. Although you don't really hear that song much on classic rock radio anymore either. But Both Sides Now is one of Joni Mitchell's biggest songs, bar none. Hands down. Especially because she had the insight to... Oh, hold on.
The word of dog.
I had a coughing moment. That's the other thing about this guy. He coughs right on the microphone. Anybody who does a podcast or a radio show that coughs on the microphone, that coughs while they're being recorded or going live. I know sometimes when you're live, you can't help it. But when you cough, if you don't understand, if you don't already know, if you don't have the awareness that the sound of your cough is disgusting, you need to really get familiar with something that is called a mirror. And look at yourself, son. Look at yourself. So anyway, Café Anyway, he was talking about, and we're outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth here in Ameritopica, with all of our topicas.
Anyway.
The Daily Haley. The almost Daily Haley.
Joni Mitchell, I watched that interview she did with Elton John, which is phenomenal. And Elton John asked her about that. And she said, well, it's interesting because I wrote that song in my 20s. And I got a lot of heat back then when I wrote that song and sang it. Because they were saying, who does this 20-year-old think what? She hasn't seen her life from both sides now. She's young. She's on one side of her life at this point. But as the years wore on and she sang it again and again and again, she added strings on one of the recordings and made it just so insightful. And in fact, she grew into the song and she was able to, when she sings it now, you go, oh yeah, she does see it from both sides now. She's not lying anymore. She's not having to fake it till she makes it. Now she's telling the truth. So this guy from the wonderful land of, I guess, Minnesota or something, with that kind of accent, he was, or maybe that almost sounds more Canadian. I don't know what that accent is. Anyway, the point is, The Taylor Swift. Oh, Brandi Carlile performs at every award show, any tribute show. She's everywhere. But like the masses don't quite know who Brandi Carlile is. I think a lot of people have heard her one song or another and know she's an amazing singer and songwriter, but the overall population is way more into Taylor Swift. But Taylor is smart enough to work and collaborate with all these other people. But we will see, at some point people are going to have enough. There's only so many different ways you can present someone a hamburger. Hey, here's a hamburger. Here's an expensive hamburger. Here's a hamburger that's really expensive. Here's a hamburger that we've decided to put foie gras on top of it. Here's a hamburger that's something that fell out of a Wendy's trash can.
Ginormous.
Anyway, you cut it, it's still hamburger, and it's still going to be, even if it's made out of Kobe beef, it's still Taylor Swift hamburger.
Mike's Matthewsman Park.
The front panel will close automatically. Please remain seated at all times.
Billy Joel just released a song. I got excited because I'm a Billy Joel fan, but it's not going to become a huge hit.
Magnification.
She's making sure people...
We love you, Mike.
The letter references CNN's reporting on Musk offering Sweeney $5,000 to delete the Twitter account trafficking his jet.
And now we return you to our regularly scheduled program with Mike Matthews.
Sweeney refused this offer at the time and asked for $50,000, saying he could use the money to pay for college or perhaps buy a Tesla. The letter states that this is a life or death matter for Swift, who has dealt with stalkers, and she writes songs like from the point of view of a stalker, but it's like a Taylor Swift, it's a Swiftie stalker, but she's not stalking herself, she's stalking some cute guy. Just, if you haven't noticed, if you haven't actually listened to the words to her songs. And others who wish her harm since she was a teenager. The letter states that there are many public cases of individuals who have come to Swift's residences, including armed with weapons and ammunition, and attempted to harm her. The letter argues that sharing her location information gives these bad actors a roadmap to carry out their plans. If Sweeney continues to publish information tracking Swift's jet travels, her attorney adds, she will have no choice but to pursue any and all legal remedies available to her. Well, hey, at least they gave him a Swift cease and desist letter. They didn't just outright go out and arrest him or throw a huge multi-million-dollar lawsuit on him. Last week, the Japanese embassy in the U.S. tweeted a statement saying that despite the long-haul flight back from Tokyo and 17-hour time difference, Taylor Swift should be able to make it to Las Vegas from Tokyo in time for the big game Super Bowl if she departs Tokyo in the evening after her concert. That's speculating on whether she'll make it back to the U.S. from overseas in time to see her boyfriend Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl. And Travis loves anti-hero.
The Marco Minute. The Marco Minute.
And I say I like it because I like the line about I have a dream where I'm at my own funeral, and my stepdaughter says, I love that specificity. Said that word perfectly. I just planted the landing perfectly on that, not that. They're laughing. She's laughing at us from hell, up from hell, I think is what the line is. So hey, that's a good line for a Taylor Swift song. It's different. It's not blank space. It's not style. It's not bad blood or love or whatever that was. So Taylor continues to shed those teardrops on her guitar, and she's laughing through the tears all the way to the bank. Who else is laughing to the bank are Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, and Sean Hayes.
You will travel into the incredible universe.
So to be more specific about the podcast story concerning them, which we got into a little bit in a recent podcast, as we were also discussing Joe Rogan's big deal now with Spotify getting even more bucks. Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, and Sean Hayes are ditching Amazon and taking their popular podcast Smartless to Sirius XM. It's a 3-year deal valued at $100 million. The podcast launched back in July of 2020. I have them beat by over a decade, so I don't know what where's my 100 million. Guests have included President Joe Biden, Bradley Cooper, Emma Stone, Greta Gerwig, Idris Elba, and Selena Gomez. The deal keeps the podcast widely available, but brings perks to Sirius XM subscribers. Woo! Getting, for example, early access to podcasts and other shows like Just Jack and Will, Bad Dates, and Owned. Boy, that sounds exciting. Sirius will hold the advertising and distribution rights, content, and events for the podcast. Ads on podcasts. People pay for ads on podcasts. It's so dumb because there's a fast forward button right there. I can press that button and jump 10 seconds, 30 seconds ahead. I do not even need to hear you.
Hey, kids. It's me.
Oh, but Mike, I never use that. Oh, right. There's the absolutely. You know how many people just said that? 0. In 2021, Amazon had acquired the exclusive rights in a deal valued between $60 million and $80 million.
Do-re-mi the clown.
Now it's jumped up to $100 million. SiriusXM has about 34 million subscribers. Also includes distribution for Conan O'Brien's Conan Needs a Friend. Oh, they have that exclusively. And Pod Save America. I have tried to listen to Pod Save America. And that does have a lot of ads on it. So now it all makes sense. They're trying to make their money back, selling all those ads on there. Peloton shares plummeted recently 20% as they gave a dismal outlook. The stock has gone from $150 per share during the pandemic all the way down to 20, no, 10, no, $4 for Peloton shares. Zuckerberg's apology to families was a turning point during that hearing. And because families blamed the toxicity of social media for the loss of a loved one, he got up and apologized. And guess what an apology can do? There's a certain politician running right now who has never apologized in his life. And instead, whenever he is asked to apologize or anybody says, hey, is he going to apologize? He just doubled down. He doubles down. He doesn't apologize. He doubles down constantly. Well, Zuckerberg did something that we all should do and apologize when we've done something wrong. His stock went through the roof on Friday. People that had Facebook stock were just jumping for joy at how well it did on Friday. So there's something to be said. How about, so you got your Peloton and you're probably also wearing Lululemon. They're going to launch their first men's footwear line as it chases growth in crowded athletic apparel industry. The footwear line will offer a new casual and performance sneaker. Lulu is best known for the belt bag and yoga pants. And I think wasn't one of the owners of Lululemon supposedly said something like, there are certain women that should not wear yoga pants. Just came out and said something like that. Like, that so you don't want certain people to buy your pants? Is that why you have them for so expensive a price? These are questions that I ask. One other question I'd like to ask is, I heard a conservative talk show host today say that it was all about this. They're trying to pass. They don't want this bill to pass about the border, about immigration, and Republicans don't like it because they're in Donald Trump's pocket, and Donald Trump doesn't want anything done to stop the border crisis because he wants Biden to continue to look bad. So Biden then comes out with this bill that to help with the border, and it actually has some stuff in it that some Democrats are like, whoa, wait, that's too strict. You got to give some leeway. These are people here. They want a fresh start. They want a new life, a good future. And this is actually making it more difficult for that to happen. So in all of that, with the bill not passing, and there's also tied into all of this aid to Ukraine. And I heard this conservative talk show host say, and you're hearing this more and more from the right, about how Ukraine doesn't deserve any more money because they haven't won this war. And it's not just that. Okay, I understand, America, we have problems here we need to fix. We need our money for that. Okay. And some of the stuff that's going wrong here, we need to pay attention to. But this guy was saying, and the way the American press, because it's always the American press, the American media, legacy media, as they say, it's always the legacy media's fault. Or as Rush Limbaugh used to call it, the drive-by media.
Mike's out of left field recordings.
Recording everything captures actions that will never again be repeated.
This live talk show host said, hey, all the drive-by media, they're painting Putin. He's not as bad as all that. It's just like the way they paint how bad Trump is.
The cutting corners corner.
The cutting corners corner.
A fine article.
Silly, great, fat article.
But wow, I was okay. So now you're a Putin supporter. Good for you. Next, you're gonna. What is that? And what's the difference between that and supporting China? And China is having a bunch of problems with their stock market these days, and they're having now I heard this interesting outlook on it that a lot of conservatives are happy that China is having so many problems with their stock market and overall economy, but professors are pointing out as China goes, so goes America. So I don't know exactly how that's all tied together, but something to think about. And that's what's happening in this great, big, huge world that's not so big after all. It is a small world after all. And look who's outside of Café Anyway. Oh, what a small world it is. Look who's visiting. Hello, Michael Master, it's Madame Rootabega, and I love to hear all about these news stories. Ooh. Have you been to China? Yes. Have you been to Mar-a-Lago? Yes. Have you been on the dance floor with Trump? No. Oh. Well, that could be interesting. Dancing on the ceiling with Trump. And then Trump has that picture that he posted on his what's it called? Truth Social? True Social? Whatever. Something social. He had the picture of him and Elvis split in half. So it looks like one half of the face is Trump, the other half is Elvis, and it kind of lines up around his lips and his nose. So what did Elvis not die? He just turned into Trump. And then he said, what do you think? Like he's really going to read people's responses. That's what I really love about YouTubers that are really popular. And at the end of their videos, they'll say something like, but what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. They're never going to read that. They never read that. I write stuff. They never respond. I write to every single one of them that says it. Nobody responds. It's sad. But what do you think? You can call me, and I'll give you the number right after this guy says something.
Hello, dear Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Mike, we're really excited. We hear that you're going to visit your old stomping ground there in Marina Del Rey. There. Yeah, Marina Del Rey. Do you know that? Aw. Oh, I didn't mention this thing. Yeah, Joe Rogan, $250 million deal with Spotify compared to the Smartlist podcast with Will Arnett and the other two for $100 million. Wow. That's amazing. Or Will Arnett would say something like, that's amazing. But here's the thing is I just mentioned Marina Del Rey, or Bison Bentley and Valentino did. George Strait sang that song, but and George Strait is still with us. Country music, I was a big part of country music in the 90s and the O's. Here's the thing, Toby Keith died, as you probably heard by now. I met Toby Keith once long ago. It was an after party at the Academy of Country Music Awards. He did really well. He picked up a bunch of awards. He had left his previous record label and was now with this new label that was allowing him to do stuff that he wanted to do. The other record label was too restrictive. So what he did was he started recording songs that were very, very Toby Keith. That was like revenge songs, like How Do You Like Me Now? Playful revenge songs. I mean, compared to what Taylor Swift may write. And in fact, Toby Keith is partly responsible for Taylor Swift because he helped found the Big Machine Records, the record label that she was originally on, that now she hates because she goes back and redoes all the albums to get all the money, the residuals from those records now, instead of it all going to that old record label. Toby had just won a bunch of awards, and he was at this award show, and I was there with the woman that I would then marry and then subsequently get divorced from. And then there's probably a bunch of country songs involved with that or written about that or would address that topic, as you well know. In fact, Toby Keith had a song called Who's That Guy? Who's that man? Who's that man? That's it. Who's that man running my life? And it was based on the joke, what do you get when you play a country song backwards? You get your truck back, your housewife, your wife back. And in that song, he's like, there's my truck and the drive. There's my wife. But who's that man running my life type thing? And that was with the previous record label. With the label that he won all the big awards with, I think it was DreamWorks. So he's standing there with the award. We get a picture with him, and I'm right next to him. In fact, he let me hold the award. It was interesting. And I said to him, what are you going to do with this award, Toby? And he said, I'm going to turn it into a bong pretty right quick. I go, oh, okay. And I don't know what he said to my ex-wife, but apparently I didn't know this till today because she texted me about it. She's like, hey, did you hear Toby Keith died? And I said, yeah. And she goes, yeah, I was a big fan of his till I met him. And then that just changed everything. She goes, I never liked him after that. And I said, really? How come I never knew that? Interesting. So something he did, I don't know if he made her feel uneasy or what. I didn't get into that. This was just a text conversation back and forth. That's my story about Toby Keith. But if you would like to tell me your story about Toby Keith or anything else interesting, here's your comments below. This is that part of the show. You can call this number.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
And here's somebody else named A-Frame, who's going to tell you all the rest.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye.